So how many children did you have?
4.
4?
3 girls and a boy.
And a boy.
Mm-hmm.
One girl lives in Kaiser, her son lives in Colorado, one girl lives in Kansas, and one girl lives in California.
So how many acres do you have here?
40.
40?
We moved out here in when?
57.
67?
Well, we bought this place
In
in 57, but
1967.
Yeah.
I moved out here in 47 from Turner for a year because I had to go to school in Cloverdale
Uh-huh.
for a year because we moved out. And then I went back to Cascade for the high school years. I moved from Turner,
From Turner to here.
out here, and because I was out of the district, I had to have my 8th grade, in Cloverdale. These all live in Colorado, Brianna and Taryn.
Mm-hmm.
She's a doctor, surgeon.
Oh, nice.
She works in some kind of service, I can't remember what it is. And she's a school teacher. This is Lisa and Brandon. These were Sherry's 2 kids.
Okay.
And this is Brandon, is Hannah's our granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Brandon. They live in California.
So you have them in several states.
Yeah, Washington.
Washington and Oregon and Colorado.
The kids are in all
Okay.
4 states, anyway.
Very good. Nice. Well, they're beautiful, very handsome looking. So you must be very, very proud.
This is Jacob, one of the first great-grandson.
Now, how many great-grandchildren do you
7.
have? And so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grandchildren? 7 grandchildren?
The other one on the end is a special care, mentally problem. Sherry's taken care of her for 40 years.
Wow.
And
That's
then
love.
today they're moving her to a new home that they've been waiting to get into for
How nice.
Yes.
And it'll be good for her because there'll be activities and things she can do.
Oh,
with
they
people.
do. She's involved in lots of stuff.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That is grand. Now, we're so excited that we can talk to you about your connection to Turner history. Now, I understand that your married name is Marge Newkirk, but you were here when you were a child.
4 months old
4 months old, that's when you came. Now,
Okay.
where were you born?
in South Dakota.
South Dakota, and then
Yeah.
your family came all the way out?
Yep, I have 2 sisters and the family and the dog.
And the dog?
The dog rolled on a running board. And
Oh, they drove out
yeah.
with all of your possessions attached to it and everything.
Yeah.
But you
I
don't
don't
remember
remember all that.
No,
I've heard stories.
I bet you have. But 4 months old when you moved to Turner.
Yeah.
What brought your family to Turner?
Well, my dad's great uncle was from, the whole family was from South Dakota, and it was really rough time then, you know, with the
Yes.
Dust Bowl and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
This was
So-
1933?
No, he come out, I think, about in 30 or
Okay,
31.
he came out earlier.
His name was Uncle Charlie.
Okay.
And he found it so much nicer, he just encouraged the rest of them to come to Oregon.
Nice.
So somehow he got in relation to Mr. Gilstrap at the home.
Yes.
So when my dad got here, the guy had kind of arranged for us to rent a house from Mr. Gilstrap across the street from the home, and we lived in that for 2 years while Dad built the house. And then Mother always said if it wasn't for Mr. Gilstrap, we probably would have starved the first 2 years.
It's hard.
Because it was hard with 3 kids and
Yes.
living in a rental house and so on. But
And money was really, really, really scarce.
and Dad worked for Mr. Gilstrap whenever they needed anything. He was a former blacksmithing.
Blacksmithing. Oh,
No.
he was useful.
So, and he could fix anything, and so that's how he paid the rent
Good.
to the church for the
Yes.
house. There's all the stuff that he helped them with.
So you lived really close to where the Turner Memorial Homes
Yeah,
were, and
right across the
right
street.
across the street. And is that where, now, he built a home, your dad built a home
Yes.
after that?
And it's still there.
It's still there.
And then he had help. We had some of the other relatives that had come from South Dakota, and they helped build and got the little house. It's not smaller then than it was now, but Mother had lots of flowers, and so she had a white picket fence all the way around, and it's still there.
Is it?
Yeah. But he built a small Turner Texaco. Wasn't very big, but he
Right.
had there. And I loved to play out there. Arlene and Betty weren't interested in being greasy, but I was.
You were. So you went to where Dad worked, and
Yeah.
you were a
Yeah,
helper.
Mother had a job at the post office in the afternoon from 1 to 4.
What did she do?
She was just an assistant postmaster.
So she got
Sold
to.
stamps and everything.
Mhm. So that was interesting.
That's telling me when to put
So-
drops in my eyes.
So do you need to do that now?
No, it's
Okay.
all right.
So your mom was the assistant postmaster,
Yeah,
and she worked just in the afternoons.
Yes.
That was nice, a part-time job, so she could still do all her mom duties.
oh yes,
And then your dad was at the Texaco,
yeah.
the Turner Texaco.
And,
And then you got to go to school after a while.
oh yeah.
Where did
first
you
grade.
go?
Right there, close
Turner.
Turner.
Turner, all right. And did you come home for lunch?
Yep.
Yeah, because they didn't have school lunches and things like that,
Yeah.
did
Well,
they?
they did, I guess. No, I guess they just took their lunch.
Everybody took their
But
lunch.
we lived so close to the house, you just crossed the street and we were
Walk home. Yeah. That was nice because you didn't have to worry about packing it or anything.
We had they had an interview of me for Turner's 100th year or something the
yes.
other day.
Yes. Mhm.
And the first thing the little boy asked me is, did you take your lunch to school? I said, no. I just walked across the road. I said, I lived right there. Oh, so he was interested in that.
That's
It's
fascinating.
fun.
I think that's one of the big things that the kids are always interested in
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
how did you eat lunch, where did you eat lunch, and did you have a school lunch or anything? But
I was at Turner Grade School for my first 7 years. And then Mother and Dad separated, so when she remarried, she married the guy up on the hill. And that's when I got acquainted with the neighbor people down here. They had a cow and they sold milk by the quart.
did you have to go down and get it?
I had to go. I walk down the hill
Yeah.
and then
Walk
carry it
back,
up.
yeah.
And then I discovered they had a very nice looking young man.
Who was
And he
a couple of
seemed quite
years.
interested, so we dated for 3 years. Because I promised Mother I would
Graduate.
graduate before I got married. And I did. I graduated on the 22nd of May
Uh-huh.
and got married on the
The
24th.
24th. All
But I
right.
made it.
You did follow, you honored your word.
We didn't have any kids for 3 years, so it was all right. So,
And then during that period of time, was Lauren in, now he went to school in Salem.
yeah,
So he went to Salem High School and graduated, and he's 3 years older.
yep,
And then he got in the military.
yeah.
And did
He
he?
was in National Guard.
Okay.
And then after we were married later on, he decided he had to do his 2 years sometime. So after we were married, we did that in Massachusetts for a couple of years.
So you got to go across the country.
Yeah,
Now, did you have ancestors who had come to the east side of the country before they came to South Dakota or anything?
well, my grandmother was from Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and I think my grandfather was too. France maybe,
Mm-hmm.
his parents maybe, I don't know.
Right. That was an area that right there along the border a lot of families came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they had come to America, and eventually everybody
Yeah.
ended up in South Dakota, and then you came to
And
Turner.
half of them came to Turner.
That was
Well,
amazing.
to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
We had one in Turner, the Sholians was.
Mm-hmm.
She was Helen was school reporter and a recorder, the secretary for the school for many
Nice.
years.
Oh, that's so
So-
exciting.
And then another one went to Kaiser,
Mhm.
and then Dad is here. And another brother went to California, so there's still two families back there, right?
Do you get to go back sometimes?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
We did go
Mhm.
when, well, Dad never went, but my uncle would go and take Mother and us kids and go
Get to
back.
see where you were born.
Yeah, it was fun.
I bet it was. Well, when you went to Turner Elementary, did they have after-school activities or track or anything like that that they do now?
No, I don't think so.
I don't
They
think
had
so either.
softballs for the schools.
Oh,
Turner
okay.
had grade school had a softball, Cloverdale had a softball team.
Uh-huh.
And when I moved out here for that 1 year, I got to play softball because there wasn't enough boys.
Oh, I bet you
So
like
another
that.
girl, and another thing, we got to wear jeans.
Yes, because that wasn't something
Turner,
that
you couldn't do that.
Nope, nope. That was not dresses for girls.
So then after I graduated from the 8th grade, back to Turner for all of high school.
For high school. Did you take the bus? Was there a bus?
Yes,
Oh, good, okay.
it was more like a panel
Like
with boards
Yeah.
along the side. You know.
not exactly
They call it the tin can.
the tin can. Oh. And that was for the students who were outside of the town.
Yeah,
And what time did you have to leave in the morning? Was it early?
I don't know. I
It
don't
was
remember.
early enough
7
anyway.
o'clock, or
Okay.
not, no, it was just for going to Cloverdale, so it wasn't that early.
And then when you went to high school,
There they got,
yeah.
we had to catch the bus down here at the corner,
Mhm.
so,
Okay. That was interesting.
yeah.
And so there were kids feeding in from all over the area
Oh,
to
yes. From
Cascade.
Cascade, and then it wasn't Cascade until 51.
Uh-huh.
That was the first year of for Cascade High School. And I graduated in the second year of Cascade in 52, so,
That was,
yeah, it was,
you were pretty big fish in the small pond then. That's wonderful.
yeah.
Now, did you have school activities that you participated in?
Well, I was a rainbow for 4 years. For that was outside of school.
Right.
But it was interesting. We got to wear long dresses and do fun things.
Yes. That's how you got involved with the lodge?
Yes, Lauren became a Mason.
Mhm.
His father said, "Here, sign this. You're 21, sign it."
Wow.
So we signed it, and then he became a Mason. And then a year later, then I was in Eastern Star. And we have joined and enjoyed that for so many years and have so many friends. So,
And you do so much in the Turner area. The lodge has done so much.
oh yeah, they sponsored the parade for many
Yes.
years. Yeah,
And there were scholarship programs
Yes.
and all sorts
bicycle
of things.
programs, and book programs. and-
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
These are important things. And the lodge is going to be celebrating a big anniversary
Yeah.
next year.
Next year,
Yes, in 2025 they
Yeah.
have their,
Lauren said, "What's this thing on the calendar for?" It says Masonic on a Friday night, and it's his writing. I said, "I don't know. Don't you know?" He said, "No, no one told me anything." So I called up a friend and I said, "What is this?" She said, "That's next year."
next year. All right. Well, you guys are some of the longest term members with the lodge, aren't you?
Both of us are 72 years.
72 years. Are there any people who are there now who have any longer time in the lodge than
I
you
don't
do?
think so.
I didn't think so
Maybe
either.
one lady, but she said it was that she was 1 year behind Lauren, so I don't know.
So she might be
And
71.
there might be some that don't come anymore. I
That's
don't
true.
have any idea.
Right. But you do get to come, and that's nice.
Our daughter makes sure we go. She
Good
comes
for
and
her.
gets us. And
Oh, that's so
she's
nice.
a member, life member, so
Mhm.
that's nice of her to make sure we get there, because Dad
It
don't
is.
drive much anymore.
Right.
So. especially at night.
Oh, we understand how that is.
Yeah.
As we age, our bodies do not function quite as well in those darkness. But that's great. Now, were you active in, besides the lodge, in anything else in Turner?
No, I don't think
Did
so.
you do your shopping in Turner when you needed?
Well, some of it we did. Chapman's store was there. We went there when we were kids and
Uh-huh.
stuff.
And did they have things that kids like to go buy?
Oh, yeah. I remember one time I went to the post office and asked Mother if I could have a nickel.
Nickel.
Because the guy next door, his name was Prather, and he run the pharmacy and
Oh,
stuff.
yes.
And I wanted a candy bar.
Oh, yes, they had candy.
And she says, honey, I just don't have an extra nickel. And I felt, and she felt bad.
Yes. Well, kids always like treats. And it's nice when we have the extra money, but it's also important for us to learn that you can't have everything.
That's right.
And those are lessons that, especially during the Depression,
I don't think the kids nowadays know anything about that.
don't think they understand what it's like to be without. Yeah. Or there may be some. Well, I'm sure there's some who do, but boy, it was a lesson time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you had to really make do and save everything and reuse everything.
When our kids worked, I took the kids out and we picked beans and
Yes.
strawberries, but I made them say half of everything they earned had
Yes.
to go into savings.
Good plan.
And at that time, it was saving stamps for the war.
Yes. Yes.
You could buy a 10-cent stamp and put it in your little book.
Yes.
And then when that's full, you got a bond.
And then that had to wait like 7 years or something like that.
Then they'd be worth $18.75 when they were all filled out.
That was a
And
good way.
When our daughter got married, it was her money she saved in those bonds that they used to buy their house in Salem.
That's wonderful. What a wonderful lesson she learned from that.
Oh, yes, her kids were good workers. They still are.
Yes.
Some guy told Lauren one time, the reason your kids all moved away from Oregon, you worked them too hard.
No.
He says, but they worked and they earned it and they saved. So,
And they learned what they wanted to do, and then they were able
Yeah.
to do it because they had saved. That's wonderful. Now let's get back to you and Lauren. You met him when you went down to buy the milk and to carry the milk back. Did he ever help you carry it back up the hill?
no,
No.
I don't think so unless we were together already and we just stopped for it on the way
Right.
up the hill.
But you met him that way, and did you have any rivalry with that Salem guy?
No,
No? Okay. And of course, he might have graduated by the time you met him.
he did.
He had already
He
graduated.
was going to college when we were married,
Mhm.
trying to go to college.
Right.
He never made it.
Oh, it's
He
hard.
couldn't get through English. I helped him 1 year from his assignment in English. Anyway,
Well, that's where a
he
wife
said, I
comes in
don't have
handy.
to have English if I'm going to milk cows for my living, So,
So he always wanted to be a farmer.
Yeah.
Yes. That's nice. Did you always want to be a farmer's wife?
I never thought I did, but I wouldn't do anything else now.
All right.
It's a heck of a lot of work, though.
I'm sure it is. So when you got married after you did his military and everything, and you came back to Oregon and lived in the house here, you had a farm that you were...
Well, there was the lady that lives here raised chickens and sold eggs.
Mhm.
She's very old,
Mhm.
and when she passed away, she told the guy that was handling the estate that she wanted Lauren to get the property.
Nice.
Because he stored his horses. He had 2 horses that he used,
Mhm.
and she had him store them in her barn.
Oh, nice.
There was an old barn out there. And then for that privilege, he had to clean her chicken houses.
Well, look where it got him. That was really nice that he would do that, that you could work out an exchange.
yeah.
And then she was so pleased that she wanted him to
Yeah,
get the property
had to.
too. That was nice.
The guy said, if you can come up with $1,000 more down payment or something, the payment, he said, you got the house. So he borrowed money from his sisters.
Nice.
They each got $500 from an aunt when she died. So they had an extra $500 and I've paid him and repaid him back many
That's
times.
good.
So, what is this for? And I said, well, it's interest on your loan. So,
That was very kind
Yeah.
of them and of
yeah,
you.
Well,
It makes it special, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, now, when you got married, where did you get married?
St. Mark's Lutheran Church, I think it was, in Salem.
And when you got married there, then did you have the white dress and everything?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Oh, yes, lots of, the whole bit. Mother made me a really pretty veil.
Mhm.
So we went in this workroom, and the guy was taking pictures, and he wanted to position me just right so that my veil showed in a full-length mirror, you know.
Oh, wow.
We got the pictures back, and the mirror was so dirty you couldn't see the veil.
No. Oh, that was a disappointment. But it was a
A
beautiful
memory.
Yes, it is a memory, yes. And it was probably a beautiful wedding that
Yeah.
you don't remember much about because
Yeah,
it goes so
not-
fast.
Not many around yet that was in
Yeah,
the wedding.
I bet. Were your sisters in your wedding?
Yes, my oldest sister was my maid of honor, and the next sister, she was pregnant.
Uh-huh.
She cut the cake, and her son tells me, he said, I was at your wedding. I was there.
I didn't get to eat the cake, but I was there. That was nice.
Yeah.
And so then you went off and you did the military thing, and then when you came back,
Yeah, we got this place.
you got
and
this place.
It had been lived in for quite a while.
So you had a little work to do.
We found a photo album or something, and the lady kept it every day, and then on one day it said, this was a sad day today. Her husband died.
Oh,
So that was the
Yes.
last time that
she wrote in it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that would have been precious, yes.
Yeah.
Now, so you've lived here since 1957, and you'd lived in Turner since 1933. Well, 1934,
34.
because you were born around Christmas time.
Yeah, 28.
Yes. So December 28th, and then when you were just 3 months old,
4 months
4
old
months
when we
old.
got home.
when you got over here,
Right.
yes. That was quite a trip for a little 4-month-old.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember it.
No, but I bet your mom did. And so you'd lived there and you went to school everywhere.
Well,
and
I
you
got
said,
acquainted with a lot of people that liked to go to Dad's shop, you know.
yes.
And Helen Peets
Hmm.
was a postmaster. She
So
was
a
an
lady postmaster.
elderly lady. I mean, not elderly. She wasn't married. Old maid. No, not
Well.
old, just not married.
Not married, yes. And she was the postmistress. And then your mom was the assistant.
Yes, and then there was Brent, you know, Jensen.
Hmm. Brent Jensen.
That was her son, Brent.
That was her son, okay.
And Mrs. Mabel Jensen was a school teacher.
So sometimes would you go into Salem to go shopping?
I think I can't remember going with Mother. I think she left the kids at home and she went shopping.
Sometimes it's easier than taking
Yes,
the kids.
it is.
We know that. Yes, don't we know that? And what about Almsville? Did you have any connection to Almsville to
No,
go down
just
there?
Friends. from the
Friends
school,
from the
you
school,
know.
yeah. And then when you lived here, did you participate in anything like 4-H or in the fair or anything like that?
I didn't, but my kids all did.
Kids did.
FFA.
Yes.
Picture Farmers.
Yes. Your husband was in that too,
Oh,
wasn't
yes.
he? Yes.
I'm honorary member of it. And,
Nice.
they raised beef and pigs,
Mm-hmm.
and then they exhibited. We went to all their fairs and all
Oh,
that
yes.
stuff. You know.
So lots of connection.
Sandy, our youngest daughter, said, when I get old enough, I'm going to be an FFA teacher.
Really?
She did 41 years as an FFA ag teacher in California,
Oh,
in Eureka, California. She just retired.
oh, what a wonderful connection with the community
Yeah.
that way. And she kept her word, didn't she?
Yes,
I'm
and her
going-
daughter, which is in that black frame, she's an ag teacher. This is
She
her
is,
10th
too.
year, she said, so I couldn't believe it.
How nice.
Yeah.
They
Hannah.
really did appreciate what
And
they
that's
grew
a
up with.
picture of her boyfriend. That they're living together and planning a wedding, so
Nice.
he's real nice young
Oh,
man. so-
good. Yes. So what did your kids end up doing?
Let's see, Sherry was school teacher up in North Marion for 30 years. She worked at the handicapped mentally, those people that
The
needed help.
challenges and everything, yeah.
That's how she had to end up with one of them in her, she calls her daughter. so.
Mhm.
And Lauren was our next one. He went in the Air Force for 24 years.
Oh, thank you guys so much
Yeah.
for the service that
Yeah,
you
he just-
provided to America.
He just loved it. And he would have been a colonel, I think, was the next step up.
Yes,
But he had to stay a number 3 years, and
yes.
his wife didn't want to move to Montana.
And that was where they were going to be sent. Yes. Oh, I can understand that.
So they stayed in Colorado Springs.
Well, good for them.
And then Betsy she started out as working in a battered women's task force about a year, and then she got a job as
Girls.
campfire girls, yeah.
Mhm.
And she stayed with them for a couple of years, and then she got a job with the police department. The funny thing about that was she drove her car back there with an Oregon license on it for years, and they never found out.
Never found
I
out.
never noticed it as making her. She should have changed,
Right?
but she didn't.
Sometimes you just get so busy doing things that something slips
She
aside.
enjoyed that pretty much, and then she got a job at the University of Kansas. Kansas
Oh, really?
was the state, yeah.
Okay.
And writing grants and stuff, and she liked that. And
Nice.
that's where she retired. And
Is she
they both
still
have-
there?
Yeah,
Okay.
they built a new house last year, I guess, and have two wonderful son-in-laws. Just two wonderful. They're absolutely different, but they're just wonderful.
Oh, that's so good.
Our Sherry and her husband divorced.
There's families all the time, you know. So
So anyway, the kids all have jobs and they're working, and the great grandkids are coming along doing
Yes.
things. So we enjoy our family. They don't come much, but that's okay.
now you were telling me earlier that sometimes you have had a lot of them
Yeah,
here
we had
for
21. here.
21. Oh,
Chairs tables all down there, and then
Oh,
turned and went that way. Card tables at the.
I bet that was quite a time to
It was
cook
fun.
for.
I loved big dinners. Mother did too. So.
It's just hard to manipulate everything around the tables and everything, but it was fun to have them all there.
I think the important thing is that we were fortunate enough to become Christian church members in the Gilstraps, and the Turner home was always so good to us,
Nice.
helped us a lot.
And that's good. There's been quite a connection in Turner with the Christian church.
Yeah,
It's really had a strong connection.
yes.
So that,
When Dad was building our house, 2-story, kind of, and he was so busy he couldn't build the stairs. So we borrowed Mr. Gilstrap's ladder.
And you'd climb up and down this.
And they used that. And one day he came along and he said, Forrest, you know, I really could use that ladder at home.
Yes.
So I said, okay, I'll get busy on the steps.
Well, that would have been quite a time for you kids to be going up and down the ladder all the time.
Just the two oldest ones, I guess I was downstairs
Oh, okay.
till I got old enough to climb the steps. Yeah.
You probably wanted to climb them at every instance that you could. That would have been quite an interesting time. You know, you're busy struggling to make your living and everything, and you just don't have time to build the steps, so
Yeah.
the ladder's a nice substitute.
Everybody's always been so nice in Turner to help each other.
Yes.
Which
The
is
good
nice.
neighbor town.
It's
That's
good,
what they call
yeah.
it. That is good.
Yeah,
And you came back to it.
yep.
That was good too. Now, do you have anything that you remember about Turner that you'd like to share with us that we might not know about?
About Turner.
Or
The
about,
lamb show was always important.
yes.
It was first held, as far as I know, there was a big oak grove in front of the church to the Masonic Hall, the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Between there and this railroad track was this big oak trees, and that's where they held the lamb show.
Really? So not over at the school area, but
No, and there,
over on the other side. Yeah.
the field, just as you get into Turner, on the right is the bridge and the field. That's where they did the dog trails.
Oh, I
And
love
Ben
those.
Whippers.
Yes.
That was his land, and they turned it into the dog
The
trails.
dog
for
trail
them.
place.
That was close enough to the.
Yes. Close enough, and yet gave them a little extra. That was nice.
The Turner Lamb Show was really quite important to the whole district.
Yes.
And there's huge number of people would come, and so the Masons sponsored that parade.
Yes.
They buy the trophies and stuff, so that was nice.
That is a very nice thing to do, yes. Big community opportunity for coming together and enjoying things and learning. I love those dog trials.
Yeah, Lauren tried that for a while, but he didn't have time to work with the dogs like he should. But
Right.
he did his first dog trial, and they took the dog out to the center of the field where they're supposed to stop.
Right.
They turned the sheep loose. The dog just sat down.
Okay,
He didn't do anything.
I'm done.
Kind of embarrassing to Lauren. But that
Well,
happened.
it happens. I mean, sometimes the dogs get nervous too. Maybe it just said, okay, I'm too nervous to do anything.
Yeah.
Or the sheep said, you do anything to us during the trial and you know what'll happen. But that was quite something. Now, they used to have a coronation of a queen, didn't
Oh,
they?
yes.
Were you ever on the court or anything?
Oh, my daughter was.
Your daughter was.
Betsy was when she
Nice.
was in junior in high school. You know. But they always put sheep into the lamb show, winter sheep and
Yes.
stuff. I usually just sit and watch the parade go by.
Right. That's always a fun thing to do. It is.
The Eastern Star had a pie booth.
Did they?
Yes. and
So would they sell
kind of a little trailer thing fixed up, and we sold pies,
whole pies or slices of pie or?
pieces of pie.
Uh-huh. Because then you can make more money that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, that would be a good thing to have come back to the
Yeah.
parade time. That Turner Day would be really nice to have a pie booth, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So, and let's see, what about like did they have a movie theater, or did you ever get to go to the movies, or?
Well, we did. We always wanted to see Walt Disney movies.
Yes.
So when they come out, at first they played at the Elsinore
Mm-hmm.
for a while. Then they moved it to the Grand Theater for a while.
Yeah.
And then they went to the Liberty Theater for a while. And the very last place they would show it was the Hollywood Theater.
Uh-huh.
Dad would wait till it came to that because it cost 50 cents to get it
Nice.
So we did go.
frugal, yes.
Anyway,
But you got to go.
we got to go. That was a Saturday night, and then Sunday we were out in the front yard, and Dad got down on his hands and knees and chased us around the yard like he was the bull, you know.
Mhm.
That's the only time I remember him playing with us.
Well, he was busy, pretty
He-
busy during that.
He didn't know how to act around kids.
Did he have
Once I
brothers?
became an adult,
Mhm.
we were fine.
Mhm.
But
But
he
when-
just didn't know what to do with them. He'd say,
Yeah.
I'd get greasy, and he says, "You little goose, you! Mother's going to be mad at me."
But you loved that.
Oh, I did.
Could you fix cars too?
Well, I played like I did. So.
Uh-huh.
One night, it was Christmas, and a man brought Dad a box of chocolate-covered cherries.
Mhm.
And oh, we wanted some of those.
Oh,
so bad.
yes.
So that night after supper, Dad, can we have a chocolate cherry? He says, no, I left them in the office in the garage.
Oh.
So Arlene and I went out.
Mm.
We crawled under the garage. We pushed up the boards where the oil place is supposed to be. Crawled in there, went into the office, went out the front door and said, now can we have a chocolate cherry? How did you get in there?
You were very clever.
We had to go through the woodshed
Mhm.
this way, but it was fun.
I bet it was. Now, did Turner have a police department back then?
I suppose they did. I don't.
You didn't get in trouble with them.
No.
That was
We had a
good.
fire department.
You
I
did
know
have a
that
fire
was-
department. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for a long time, Brent Jensen was involved with the fire department.
Oh yes, Dad was on there too.
He was too.
Yeah. All the men were,
Mhm.
I think.
And it was still a volunteer
Oh,
department.
yes.
Yes.
They'd have their meetings, and they had coffee and rolls of some kind. And Dad would come home with one of those big bowls like this, full of dirty dishes for us to wash them for the next meeting.
Oh dear. That was not the benefit you wanted. Now, do you remember how the fire department used to notify the volunteers that they needed to come for a call out? When we first got here, they used to have different, they'd blow a whistle type thing, and it'd have different sounds or different lengths of sounds. Do you remember that?
No, they had one sound that it rang at noon for,
Yeah, the noon.
but the
whistle.
other one, if they needed them together, they just let the horn blow
The horn blow. Oh,
until they all started coming in, you know. That's all I
that was the
remember.
way that they used to alarm them, because they didn't have a lot of telephones or anything to call them initially. And so, well, that's always an interesting thing too. And now, of course, they have their little pagers or whatever they
Oh,
are.
yes.
Were there lots of kids in your schoolroom? Or did you have a big
At
class?
Cloverdale, there were only 3 in the
Only
8th
3?
grade.
In the 8th grade, there were 3 of you.
And there were more in the 7th grade, or no, 6th grade it was, I think was the biggest class. And then in that, for the 8th grade, they had a full graduation ceremony,
All 3 of you?
just for the 3 of us. There was 4, and then he moved away
Mm-hmm.
just before we had the but you had gifts and cards from all the teachers and all, you
how
know.
nice.
I run across that book the other day,
Mm-hmm.
scrapbook.
Lots of memories from that
Mhm,
time,
yeah.
yes. Now Turner would have been bigger because it had the town right there.
Oh, yes.
So the classes would have been a little
Oh,
larger.
yes.
But it was nice.
I've got one question. Did Turner have voting booths?
Did Turner have voting booths when it was time for an election? We did. I remember coming in and, you would go in and and register and sign
Well,
in?
was it a booth or just a cloth
It
between?
was just a cloth, yeah.
They made a booth, so they
Yeah,
couldn't see
right.
anything. But I worked on that board for a while.
Did you?
Yeah, counting board.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of fun.
Yes, it would be. It's always nice to see the process, carried through. And so what else were you involved with? You're quite a gardener. Looking at the outside of your house, were you ever in the garden club?
No.
Didn't have
That
time
was
for
in-
that.
That was in Turner.
Yeah, and you didn't have time for that anyway. You were up
I
here busy.
wasn't, I didn't do the right kind of flowering, arranging. And
They look beautiful
it's
out
like
in your
that
yard.
flower in there. I picked a nice bouquet for the neighbors
Mm-hmm.
for their anniversary, and I struggled to get it just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And those were left over.
Those were left over.
And all I did was pick them up and jam them in a jar.
That's what I would have done
And they
too.
look okay. but-
They look lovely, yes. That's the kind I like, where they look
Yeah,
lovely
it's-
no matter what I did.
yeah.
Yeah. But you had a lot of fun doing it.
That I knew, and
Mhm.
came to Dad's shop.
Now, did he sell cars as well as
No.
repair them?
He just repaired them.
Just repaired them. Now, did he sell gasoline or anything?
Oh, yes, I
So-
did too.
You did too.
I wasn't even in school. We had it was electric pump on this one. The big one was a pump. You had to
crank,
pump it
yeah.
up and then give it, and then so. But this one was just, I
Little,
could just turn it on and stick it in. And the guy come in, he says, "Oh, give me 5 gallons of gas." Well, I knew that was $1.08 for 5 gallons of gas.
oh, you knew that.
So he said almost got to $5, and he said, "Well, just stop at 5." And I made him take it the whole thing. I thought he was trying to cheat me.
Oh,
He got the biggest kick out of that. He went right to the post office
told
to
your
tell my
mom.
mother. She thought I was cheating.
Oh, but that was fun that you got to do that.
Oh, I loved it. Probably very illegal, but that's all right.
I think you
In
must
those
have done a
days.
great job. So you got to pump gas. You were is that a pump jockey?
I guess.
And
Jockeyette.
jockeyette. And did you ever help repair the cars? You tried.
Well, one thing he had me do, he had the bottom half of a bucket that he kept gas in. And when he took a part out and it needed to be cleaned, there was a brush in there.
And you had to.
And so you could clean it off. Oh, I love doing that.
Oh.
I love the smell of gas. So.
Now, at that time, there weren't a lot of ladies who were doing
No,
gasoline
no.
and Texaco type jobs, were there? So you were unique.
I guess I am. One of the names I was thinking was Merle Pearson. Did you know them?
I did not know them.
He used to get in at the dam. Do you know where the dam is on the river?
I know where the dam is on the river.
Well, it was. I
where
guess
it was,
it's still
yes.
there.
Yeah.
And it was probably only above your knees,
Right.
all the way down.
Right.
He'd get in there and fish until he went clear past the fire station.
Wow.
And he promised he'd take me with him when I got big enough.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do it.
He didn't do it. Oh. But they still had fish in it.
I guess. I used to see the river used to come down, and then part of it went this way,
Mm-hmm.
and then part of it curved around the island this way, and then joined at the other end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the way they made it, but instead of, they wanted it to go straight down, not.
Yeah.
So this little part that was in is where we played.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother had a bridge to the island, and she had flowers over there.
Oh, nice.
We played in there every hour we could get there in the summertime. It was fun.
I bet it was. Now, the swimming pool, just had an anniversary too, didn't it?
I don't know.
I think it just had celebrated one of their anniversaries,
Oh.
and they talked about how until the swimming pool was actually built, that the kids used to play right in along what is 3rd Street. There was the water and of course the creek all around and everything. And the kids always loved to play in that.
Yeah.
Did you get to play in that?
No.
No. But the river.
We had our own river,
Yes.
and I don't think it's even there now. I don't know. I haven't been behind it for a while.
Right. I mean, a lot of things do change.
Yeah.
And did you ever go fishing?
Oh, yes,
Did you catch anything?
I did.
What did you catch?
A little trout.
A little trout.
I took it to Dad. He said, "You gotta throw that back."
Little too small. But you were so proud, weren't you?
We take a piece of bread
Mm-hmm.
and put it in your hand and just work it and
Roll
work it
it.
and work it and work until you got a ball out of it.
Yes.
And then that's what you put on your hook.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked.
Yes. Fish like that. Oh, do you remember seeing fish come down the creek or anything?
No.
Just remember them catching them. when
Right
they-
by there's a big tree there. It must have been a kind of a hole.
Yeah. And they like to be
Yeah, I
there.
liked that. It was fun.
Oh, I bet it was. Now, when you built this house, you have a well and a septic up here, don't you?
Yes.
But in Turner, when you lived in Turner and built your house, did you have indoor plumbing and water and everything?
Oh, yes.
And you had electricity, and did you have a telephone?
Yes.
You did, okay.
Mhm. When the school caught on fire in the wood room for some of the furnace in there,
Mm-hmm.
a guy was walking down the street in front of our house coming from Almsville, and he was going to work about 6 in the morning, and he discovered the fire in
Wow.
that end of the school building. So he come to our house, and luckily we had a phone,
Yes, that was lucky that you
so
had a
they
phone.
called it in, but it did some damage, but it didn't stop school for more than a couple of days of the smoke,
Yes.
because we were on the 2nd floor, so,
And so you were going to school at that point.
oh, yes,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I remember that. I think I was in the 3rd or 4th grade with Mrs. Jensen.
Mrs. Jensen, Brent's mother?
Yes,
Okay.
Mabel Jensen.
Mabel. Mhm. And was she a good teacher?
Very nice, very
Oh,
strict. but
very strict.
Special.
Well, you know, strict was good because you
Yeah.
really had to maintain a lot of
They don't
discipline.
do that anymore.
No, it's different.
Now they changed the rules and letting the kids that need to be in school sleep in till 8:30 and making the young kids go in at
Really
6 or
early,
7,
yeah.
you know,
Wow.
so that the older kids had more time to sleep. That's happening out in Portland right now.
Yes, that's what I hear. So, do you remember what time you had to go to school?
I suppose at 8 o'clock or
8 o'clock,
8:30
something
maybe.
like that, yeah. And you walked,
Yeah, across the street.
yeah. And here from here, you could go down to Cloverdale easily.
Yeah, it's a mile down there.
Yeah, it's a mile, but
I've got a question. Do you remember the Depression when you were young? In
I
Turner?
remember them talking about, because we didn't have much money to spend, and so it was better, I guess, in Oregon than it had been in South Dakota, especially when this one guy said when we hit somewhere up in Washington and all the fruit,
yes.
the trees were loaded with fruit, and they said we couldn't believe it. It was just like being in God's heaven, you know. That wouldn't happen in South Dakota. Still don't. But Dad didn't work on a farm. He did, smithing and stuff. But the other two, they're still back there, still are farming.
Uh-huh.
We sold our land back there and they We inherited from my mother, and they're still farming.
They are still. Mhm. So your parents had been in South Dakota for a while.
Oh yes, they were born.
They were both
all
born
born
there.
back there. There's that generation. Yeah.
And as farmers, would they raise grain,
Yeah, grain or hay or
something of that nature, as opposed to where we'd have orchards and
sunflower seeds
sunflowers. Oh,
and that kind of
that'd be
stuff.
beautiful to have
It
that.
is when they're blooming,
Oh, yes.
and they follow the sun. Did you know that?
Yes.
In the daytime.
Yes.
They start out here, and as
Go-
the sun goes around,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's so fun to see what nature does,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. What do you think the biggest change that you've seen happen in Turner is?
All the building that's going on is terrible.
And lots
Those
of people.
box houses, I just can't get over those.
And they're so close to each
Yes.
other. I know. Well, they don't have a lot of lawn to mow, I'll say that. But it really has changed.
Yes,
And it
and
used
all these people coming in illegally and spread out all over, and how can you take care of all of them? I don't know.
Yeah. There are a lot of issues in the world
Yeah.
today, aren't there? Well, do you think that the lodge, I mean, they have a lot of young members now, don't they?
Well, not very young, but we have a member. We just initiated a young couple, but they're kind of, I'd say maybe 40s.
Well,
somewhere in
40s
there.
for me is young.
Yeah. So how old are you?
74.
Oh. You got a ways to go.
Yes, you got married when I was 2 years old. What will you do when we have a flashing light or a stoplight in
I
Turner?
don't know.
Because we've never had one
But
before.
we need them sometime
Yeah,
now.
sometimes we do. We'll sit there when we come down Valview. I live on Valview, and come down Valview, and we'll get to 3rd Street by the post office, and we'll wait, and I'll go, Alan, there were 7 cars.
Yeah.
We had to wait for 7 cars. And it just seems like there's a lot more traffic and everything
Oh, yes, yes.
now. We used to have a lot of things, apparently, a lot of businesses in Turner. Then for a while, there weren't very many at all. There was the lumber company and all, but we didn't have a lot of businesses. But they did have a little hardware store, because it was across from where the post office is now, somewhere along that area. The post office used to be up where the furniture refurnishing place is now. He was over by the Turnaround Cafe. And there have been a lot of changes. Things have been shifted around and everything.
Yeah.
City Hall used to be down where the Dollar General is now.
Yeah.
Used to be in the old Turner Bank that was built in 1910.
And then it was a post office.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where Mother worked.
Yeah.
That's where she worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's where the post
And a
office
barber
was.
shop next door.
And that was nice. Did you have a grocery store there too?
Yes.
Okay.
Barbers,
Barber's grocery store.
Ken Barber, and
Mhm.
was one of the boys. There was another one that was younger. He was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Dad used to
Yeah.
take his things in there to be weighed if he happened to have a big potato
Right.
or a big watermelon or something. They had a nice scales for weighing those things. That,
And then you could really brag about how big it
Yeah,
was.
I guess.
Yes. And that would have been nice. And then they had the mill, the flour mill.
yeah,
So there was a lot of activity going on. And then the Ball brothers had, remember the ice cream parlor in what is at the Ball brothers now?
is it?
That ice cream parlor, there used to be, in the olden days, there used to be an ice cream parlor.
Oh, I don't remember that. Well,
You might have been away for part of the time when that was happening. She might have been too young to pay
Yeah.
attention to
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And no money to spend anyway, so.
Right. Yeah. Did you ever grow melons in your garden here?
Grow them.
Right.
No.
Watermelons are hard to grow here, but sometimes cantaloupes and
I
things
think
like
we
that.
tried cantaloupes one year, wasn't
Yeah.
bad.
Hmm.
We have lots of water, so that's
Yeah.
one, until recently.
Has it changed a lot with all the
Well,
building?
this last week, well, the last month, I'm gonna write a thing about it, but our, Lauren is a plumber,
Hmm.
and he cannot get down on his knees anymore, so he can't do plumbing.
Right.
So he put in an automatic system probably 30 years ago, I
Mhm.
don't know. Well, it's all wearing out.
Yes.
So every time you turn around, there's a
Something.
broken pipe or something.
Yeah.
So we first started out with, Marge, you go out there and watch. I'll turn the water on in here, in the thing where you do it, and you mark where the hole is, okay? She says, be sure you don't miss it. So then I did that, and that water come out and it
Couldn't
went
miss
all
that.
over me. I found it.
I found it.
So that
I
was
didn't miss
just,
it.
just the beginning, because every time two things go off that shouldn't be going at the same time, you know, all that scheduling.
Oh,
There's
yes.
some in the barn, there's some on there, there's some in the house, there's some in the garage, you know, and they all have to be. And at one time, he was real good at that, but now that he's
Well,
93.
he's 93. He'll be 94 really
Yes,
soon.
soon, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the girl, he couldn't saw the
Yes,
pipe, so he had me do it. I'd
Oh.
never done that before. It's one of those small
Yes.
saws, I forget what you call it. Anyway,
You were going strong.
he was holding it up so ever I could do it.
Right.
And I got it cut, but not very straight. And then Sherry come along, and so she did the other half.
Oh, that
and
was
that
nice.
worked, you know.
Yes.
Then the water went off in the pump.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
So he had to go turn it on again.
Mhm.
Sherry was digging a hole for another thing over here, and Dad started it, and he couldn't do it too much, so Sherry started with her little shovel,
Yes.
and she finally got it so they could get to that
To
pipe
that pipe.
and
yeah.
put the stop on it.
Yes.
So then they put a thing like that on it, so they wouldn't hit it with the lawnmower when
Yes.
the people did that lawnmower.
Right.
Well, when they came, they saw the hole. They thought we were done. They filled it in
Oh, no.
and moved the shovel
Out of the
back
way.
to the garage. They thought we were done. You know,
Oh. The best intentions sometimes.
it's so funny.
Yes.
But anyway, that's happened. Then Betsy came and she started digging it back and trying to get it going again. And she got all muddy, and then Sandy come home for a day and had to leave the next day. She was down here digging a hole and trying to, and we had 2 or 3 sprinklers going off, you know, that shouldn't be going off. And I
Right.
said, this is just terrible. So then we all learned how to go down and turn on
it
the
on.
pump to get the pump going again,
Yes.
you know. It wasn't hard, it's just getting down there. And
Right.
so I said, I'm going to write a story about
Yes.
the history and the hysteria of the other.
That'll be
Can
good.
be history in one thing, but history in, I don't know.
It'll be something all
My
right to
mouth's
remember
getting
that.
dry, so.
Well, we've talked a long time. We've really learned a lot too.
Yes,
And
well-
it's been wonderful to be able to chat with you and to learn these things about
It
Turner.
was fun. Let
And
me
your-
get my paper. I want to see if I left out anybody that I about Gilstrap and
Yes.
Keats and Pearson and Prather and Albert Jensen.
Hmm.
Ruth Ritchie's, she was a school teacher that lived near us. That was the nicest lady.
So a lot of your school teachers were ladies.
She taught in Almsville, but they were more wealthy family.
Hmm.
They had a little library set up for their kids.
They did.
Just kids' books on their cupboard. And she would let us come in and borrow those books.
Wow.
because she knew we'd be careful with it.
Yes.
So,
Oh, how nice.
yes, I guess we talked about everything.
Other than that, did your school have a library eventually?
Yeah, they had a library, yeah.
And so during the school year, you could check out books, but
Yeah,
not during the
right,
summer.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have really done a wonderful job of sharing history with us.
Thank you.
And we
I
are so
enjoyed it.
glad that you have been here so long and have
Yeah.
seen so much happen
Yeah, it's,
and can let us know some of those things. And
Yeah.
so thank you to
Thank you.
Lauren and to you for being here and contributing to Turner.
I could sing for you.
You can sing? Can you play the piano too?
Oh, yes.
Oh wow, we got to have that on tape.
No,
We got
I
so
don't have a piano.
you don't.
I have one, but it don't work anymore. It's just one of those electric